I still remember exactly what I was wearing that day. My favorite blue cardigan with the pearl buttons, the one my late husband James had given me for our 30th anniversary. My hair was freshly done, silver curls arranged just so. I'd even applied lipstick, something I rarely bothered with anymore at 73. I stood in the hallway of my daughter Elaine's home, coat already on, waiting to leave for her award ceremony. That's when she turned to me, eyes sharp with frustration, and said the words I can't forget. "Mom, please don't take this the wrong way, but you're becoming an embarrassment at these events. Maybe it's better if you just stay home from now on." Her teenage son, my grandson, looked up from his phone long enough to witness my expression crumble before quickly looking away. I nodded once, removed my coat, and called a taxi home. That night, I made a decision. If my presence was an embarrassment, I would give Elaine exactly what she wanted. I would disappear from her public life completely. I raised Elaine as a single mother after James died of a heart attack when she was just 12. Those early years were a blur of grief and determination. Working extra shifts at the hospital where I was a nurse, making sure Elaine had opportunities I never had, building a life for just the two of us. She was a brilliant child, academically gifted with a driven personality that sometimes reminded me painfully of her father. "You're doing too much again, Mom," she would scold, even as a teenager, taking homework papers from my hands when I'd fallen asleep grading them at the kitchen table. "You need to take care of yourself, too." The irony doesn't escape me now, how she once worried about my well-being, my presence, my needs. Elaine went to college on a scholarship, graduated with honors, and built a successful career in corporate law. She married Richard, equally ambitious and accomplished, and they had 2 children, Lucas, now 16, and Emma, 14. Their life in the suburbs was picture perfect. Modern home, luxury cars, private schools, summer vacations in Europe. I remained in the small house where Elaine had grown up, comfortable in my retirement with my garden, my books, and my Thursday bridge club. The distance between our worlds grew gradually, so subtly I barely noticed it happening. "Mom, you're wearing that to the firm's holiday party?" Elaine would ask, eyeing my department store dress with a slight frown. "Grandma, nobody says groovy anymore," Lucas would tell me with teenage exasperation when I tried to connect with him. These were small moments, pinpricks rather than wounds. I told myself it was normal, generational differences, the inevitable gap between my simple life and their cosmopolitan one. The changes in how Elaine perceived me became more noticeable after her promotion to senior partner at her law firm 3 years ago. Suddenly, appearances mattered more than ever before. Her home was professionally redecorated. Her wardrobe became exclusively designer brands. Even her children were enrolled in etiquette classes. "Mom, we're having the managing partners over for dinner next month," she told me during one of our Sunday phone calls. "Perhaps you could come the weekend after instead. These dinners are quite formal." I understood the message. I wouldn't fit in. I wasn't polished enough for her new circle. Still, she included me in family events, birthdays, holidays, school performances. I treasured these occasions, even as I became increasingly aware of Elaine's subtle corrections to my behavior. "Mom, please don't ask the servers so many questions about the menu." "Mom, we don't need to hear about your bunion surgery at the dinner table." "Mom, maybe don't mention politics around Emma's teacher." I tried to adapt, to filter my words, to be the mother she wanted, but it seemed the rules kept changing, and I couldn't keep up. The real trouble began at Lucas's piano recital last spring. I was so proud of him, playing Chopin with such skill and confidence. When he finished, I stood up and cheered loudly, calling out, "That's my grandson!" The other parents offered polite applause. Lucas looked mortified. Elaine pulled me aside during intermission. "Mom, this isn't a baseball game. You can't shout like that at a classical recital." "I was just showing my support," I explained. "Well, it's embarrassing. Lucas is humiliated." That night, I cried in my empty house, mourning not just my misstep, but the growing certainty that I no longer belonged in my daughter's carefully curated world. The incidents multiplied. At Emma's art show, I asked too many questions of her teacher. At a neighborhood barbecue, I talked too long about my volunteer work. At Richard's birthday dinner, I used the wrong fork for my salad. Each time, Elaine's correction became less gentle, more frustrated. Each time, I felt smaller, more out of place. Then came the day of Elaine's award ceremony. She was being recognized for her pro bono work, ironically, helping underprivileged families navigate the legal system. I was so proud of her for using her skills to help others. "You look nice, Mom," Elaine said when I arrived at her house. Then she noticed my shoes, comfortable flats instead of heels. "Couldn't you have worn something dressier than those orthopedic shoes?" "The doctor said these are better for my balance," I explained. She sighed, that familiar sound of disappointment. "And please don't tell that story about how you used to volunteer at the legal aid clinic. It's not relevant and you always go on too long." That's when I realized, no matter what I did, it would never be enough. I would always be slightly wrong, slightly embarrassing, slightly less than what she needed me to be. After returning home from Elaine's that evening, I sat in my quiet living room surrounded by photos of a life well lived. I picked up the most recent family portrait from last Christmas. Everyone looked perfect, color coordinated in festive red and green. Everyone except me, who hadn't gotten the message about the color scheme and wore purple. When had my daughter, the little girl who once proudly introduced me to her entire class on career day, become ashamed of me? My phone buzzed with a text from her. "Sorry if I was harsh earlier, just stressed about the ceremony. See you Sunday for dinner?" I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I wrote a letter by hand. I wrote about my love for her, my pride in the woman she'd become. I wrote about the pain of being made to feel inadequate, unwelcome, embarrassing. I explained that I would be honoring her request. I would no longer attend her events, no longer risk embarrassing her or her family in public. I concluded, "I will always be your mother, and my door will always be open to you. But I won't go where I'm not truly welcome. I deserve better than that, and deep down, I believe you know that too." I mailed the letter the next morning and then began my new life, one without school concerts, award ceremonies, holiday parties, or family gatherings at restaurants too fancy for my taste. The first missed event was Emma's spring choir concert. Elaine called the day before. "Mom, are you coming tomorrow? Should we save you a seat?" "No, thank you," I said calmly. "I think it's best if I don't attend, as we discussed." A pause. "That was just about the award ceremony. This is your granddaughter's concert." "I don't want to risk embarrassing anyone," I replied. "Please tell Emma I love her, and I'm sure she'll sing beautifully." I could hear the confusion in Elaine's voice, but she didn't press the issue. Next came Lucas's debate tournament, then a family dinner for Richard's promotion, then Elaine's firm's summer party. For each invitation, my response was the same gentle refusal. After the third declined invitation, Elaine appeared at my door unannounced, my letter in her hand. "What is this about?" she demanded. "You're punishing me." "I'm respecting your wishes," I corrected her. "And I'm respecting myself too. By avoiding your family? By missing important moments in your grandchildren's lives? By removing myself from situations where my presence causes you stress and embarrassment," I explained. "I love you too much to put you through that." She left angry and frustrated. I remained resolute. The weeks turned to months. I received fewer invitations as Elaine seemed to accept my decision. I filled my life with other joys, my garden, my friends, my volunteer work. I started teaching a knitting class at the community center. Then, in November, Lucas showed up on my doorstep. "Grandma, can I come in? I need your help." Over hot chocolate, he confessed that he was struggling with anxiety about college applications and his parents' expectations. "They don't understand when I try to tell them I might want something different." "Why come to me?" I asked gently. "Because you're the only person who's ever stood up to Mom, and because I miss you. We all do." He hesitated. "Even Mom, though she won't admit it." That conversation became a turning point. Lucas began visiting regularly. Sometimes Emma came too. They never told their mother. On Christmas Eve, 6 months after I'd stepped back from family events, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Elaine standing there, alone, holding a small, wrapped package. "May I come in?" she asked, her voice uncertain. We sat in my living room, the Christmas tree lights blinking softly in the corner. "Lucas told me he's been visiting you," she began. "He said you've been helping him research art schools instead of the Ivy League universities Richard and I have been pushing." I nodded, preparing for her anger. "He also said you've never once criticized me to him, even after everything." "You're his mother," I said simply. "I would never undermine that relationship." Elaine looked around my modest living room. I've been so focused on appearances, on what other people think. I've been trying so hard to be perfect that I lost sight of what matters. She handed me the package. Inside was a framed photo I'd never seen. Elaine and me from decades ago, dancing together in our kitchen, caught mid-laugh. "Emma found this while digitizing old photo albums," Elaine explained. "She asked me when I'd last seen you that happy. I couldn't remember." "I'd like that," I replied. "But Elaine, I need you to understand something. I can't be the mother you want me to be. Polished, sophisticated, always saying the right thing. I can only be who I am." She nodded slowly. "I know, and I'm trying to be okay with that, to be okay with not being perfect myself." She took a deep breath. "Would you consider coming to Christmas dinner tomorrow? Just us, at home. Nothing fancy." It wasn't an apology. Not exactly. But it was a beginning. The next day, I wore my comfortable shoes and my favorite holiday sweater with the light-up reindeer nose to Christmas dinner. Lucas and Emma hugged me like they'd feared they might never get the chance again, and Elaine, watching me tell an animated story that had her children laughing out loud, didn't once tell me to lower my voice or change the subject. As I was leaving, she walked me to my car. "I'm sorry, Mom," she finally said. "I've been so wrong." I hugged her close. "We're both still learning," I told her, "even at my age, even at yours." Sometimes the greatest gift we can give someone who has hurt us is the chance to do better. And sometimes the greatest gift we can give ourselves is the courage to be exactly who we are.